So
Hello.
today, Nintendo finally dropped a gameplay showcase for Tears of the Kingdom. I went into this with managed expectations after so many years of intense secrecy around the game. The demo shown certainly captured my interest and imagination, even if it wasn't entirely what I expected from this video. I had hoped this demo would focus more on the world of Hyrule and how it has changed, but that ended up a very small part of things. My main concern with this game has always been how new and exciting the exploration side of things will feel when it's reusing the same map. Although that wasn't really addressed here, in my opinion, I'm still certainly excited and keeping an open mind about things. So let's talk about what was shown, since that was awesome in its own way. The demo begins with a brief ride around Hyrule on horseback. Visually, the world looks largely the same at first glance, though some new points of interest can be spotted in the distance, and Link's character model is a bit different. The video soon shifts to highlight pieces of land in the sky, or sky islands as they're called in the video. It's here we see the first use of a new ability called Recall, which allows the player to reverse the movement of an object. I can only imagine how many cool uses this will have throughout the sandbox world of Hyrule. The player uses Recall to ride a fallen rock back up into the sky in reverse, which is a neat and creative trick. The rest of the demo takes place on this island in the sky, which features some special golden trees, new enemy types, rivers and snow, and more. Nintendo alluded to these trees only existing in the sky, which could mean all kinds of things. Maybe these islands are from another time or broke off from a special part of the surface world. We can only speculate, of course. The majority of time on the island is spent showcasing the new Fuse ability, which looks completely wild. Fuse allows you to merge different items in the world together to create new weapons or enhance existing weapons. For example, you can merge a branch and a rock together to create a makeshift war club. You can attach an eyeball to an arrow to fire a homing shot, or create ice arrows, and so on. This is an interesting expansion of the weapons from the first game, and can even be used to improve durability, which was obviously a sore spot for many players. I can't wait to experiment and see how free this system really is. I wonder how many objects and materials are compatible and just how crazy the different creations can really get. The most interesting part of the demo for me was an example of how you can construct new vehicles by piecing together items in the world with a new ability called Ultra Hand. The video shows how you can stick several logs together and attach fans to create a makeshift hovercraft. This is pretty awesome, and I can't wait to see what the community produces with these abilities over time. I'm curious how extensive your creations can really get using Ultra Hand, since the demo didn't really talk about the full scope of the ability. Is there a limit to the number of items, or which items you can combine and manipulate? Can this be used in conjunction with other abilities like Fuse? I'm sure this demo is barely even scratching the surface. Nintendo also revealed that the vehicles we've seen thus far in trailers actually don't exist naturally in the world, they were assembled using these new powers. What can you build beyond vehicles? This demo creates so many questions in the best possible ways. I wonder if there's an option to save creations for later, or easily reconstruct them using templates or something. Hopefully they at least persist in the world for a while. One other interesting new ability called Ascend allows you to morph through ceilings out onto the other side of the surface, regardless of how thick that surface might be. This looks really crazy and has all kinds of potential. This ability even lets you skip long climbing segments. If you find a cave at the bottom of a mountain, you can morph through to the top without ever having to climb. Nintendo also alluded to the idea that you could use this to escape cages, so I'm sure it will play into the story or various quests somehow. I know the first thing I'll want to try with this power is to find the largest ceiling possible to tunnel through and come out the other side. The video also shows how you can seamlessly dive from the islands in the sky down to the world of Hyrule below. This certainly showcased some impressive scale and draw distance for a Switch game. It's actually kind of mind boggling that this is all running on what is essentially a 6 or 7 year old tablet. Now, let's talk about how all this might come together for the final game. It seems like Nintendo is really cramming as many fascinating systems into this sandbox world as possible. It's easy to see how these abilities could create so many interesting puzzle scenarios and ways of interacting with the world. It's impressive and refreshing to see such a focus on unique gameplay systems. So many games nowadays just recycle the same systems and core gameplay loops, and I'm grateful Nintendo is genuinely trying to do something unique and interesting here. If we do get more traditional dungeons in this game, it'll be interesting to see how all these abilities come together to create some devious challenges. Morphing through ceilings, fusing materials together, building your own vehicles and machines, it's probably going to get crazy. I'm sure these abilities will probably translate to all kinds of external world puzzles and hopefully dungeons, which I can't wait to see. I'm also intrigued by the way Nintendo is addressing frustrations with systems from the first game, such as some excessive climbing or low weapon durability. Rather than flat out removing or replacing these systems, they seem to be expanding on them to provide players with more options. It seems like this game will let you accomplish things in 100 different ways beyond what the first game offered. And this greatly increases replayability and creates a unique experience for everyone, so I'm all for it. So from a gameplay perspective, I was really happy with this video, but it obviously still left me wanting more. I want to know more about the story and how big of a role these sky islands play. How much new territory is there to explore above the surface? Are all of the islands smaller puzzle areas like what was shown? Are there larger regions or even temples in the sky? How have these areas transformed the land below? So many questions that we undoubtedly won't have answers to until the game launches in May. There were a couple aspects of the demo that were slightly underwhelming to me, mostly in the visuals department. Overall, the game looks great in terms of art design and world scale, and I'm sure the overall package will look great in person running on a TV. However, I do think the graphics haven't aged quite as well as I had hoped for. Surface textures are still very low resolution, some aspects of the visuals do look a bit washed out, and other effects like the grass or shadows look fairly grainy in my opinion. I was personally hoping we'd get a cross-gen version of this game to see it running at higher resolutions or with greater texture details on a more powerful system. It's slightly frustrating to me to wonder what this game could have looked like running on a next-gen system, or how they could have gone even further with these amazing physics and gameplay systems if they had more horsepower available. I'm trying not to get too hung up on this since I'm sure artistically the game will still look great and be tons of fun to play, but that thought keeps nagging in the back of my mind as the Switch grows ever older. Enough time has passed where an upgraded model would have been more than reasonable at this point. Nintendo also unveiled a fancy new Tears of the Kingdom branded Switch OLED model. I already own a Switch OLED, and I think it's a really underrated upgrade as a side note, so I won't be swapping it out just for this design change, but it looks great and I hope a lot of people buy it. Despite my gripes about the aging Switch, I do think it has a lot of life left in it, especially with the major energy injection from this new Zelda game. There's also a new Pro controller that looks fantastic and a carrying case as well. Personally, I'm not a huge accessory or collectible person, but these designs are awesome, so I may have to reconsider. So overall, I think the new gameplay systems on display look awesome, and I can't wait to experiment with so many interesting situations. This video really amped up my hype levels for what this game will actually be like to play, even if I still have endless questions about the world and story. If Nintendo is putting this much care into every other part of the game, I'm sure this will end up something truly special. Please hit subscribe if you liked this video, and leave a comment with your thoughts on the gameplay demo.